Yeah, for sure. And also, I just want to add before we get into this, like there are legitimate fears of like big tech crackdowns and censorship and all of that. And what's super up is that they're going to weave those valid criticisms of big tech into a defense for a credibly accused rapist with multiple victims who is now who is now being sought after for criminal charges, and that's where I start to get really unhappy, because I think it's disgusting to take some, a serious issue like this and conflate it with another serious issue and just make it a mess on purpose to help out your boy who's going to help you make money. Like, it's really disgusting.
100%, absolutely correct.
Oops, are you sorry?
Oh yeah, no, you're good, bro.
They were feasting off this with libidinal satisfaction because they wanted to see him.
Bro, okay, I'm sorry, but we're talking libidinal. Are you fucking kidding me right now, dude? This is the most disgusting rape apologia you're gonna watch on this show, because I can't get through a lot of it. But just right there, the first fucking word, you're stepping in shit with me, Max. Fuck.
Destroyed for what he had said about them. He had turned on Hollywood as well, so you saw all these prominent figures denounce.
This is a fucking lie. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be doing this the entire stream. Let's go to IMDb right now. Let's go to IMDb right fucking now. He cut off Hollywood. Let's go see how much Russell Brand's cut off Hollywood. Let's just go and see. Look, Russell Brand right here. All right, let's see how much he cut off Hollywood. All right, let's see. Actor, 41 credits. Let's go ahead. Let me pull those up for you. Right. Okay. So in 2022, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just lying to you, and all of you guys, all these people will eat it up like drivel. So like, let's just look at last year, okay, Gavin? Let's look at last year alone, okay? So he was in Death on the Nile, which was a mainstream production starring, directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Annette Bening, also fucking
Gal Gadot was in that.
Yeah, exactly. Big movie, right? Big. I think we could all agree. Major production. How about Minions: Rise of Gru? Huge movie.
Billion-dollar film.
Billion-dollar film. You're telling me this man cut off Hollywood? He was in these movies last year, bro. Under the Skin's been going on forever. These people are so dishonest and full of shit that they just know their audience isn't going to look into this shit. He was in 2 major motion pictures last year, and you're told, oh, he turned his back on Hollywood. Get fucked, dude. Like, that's just the most dishonest shit ever. It's going to be so easy to rip this apart. I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, also, let's not act like he's not. He's still working for a billionaire-funded corporation, Rumble. Rumble's not fucking WikiLeaks. Like, I love how people act like Rumble is some independently financed underground like co-op or something. Like, no, dude, it's a billionaire-funded corporation. Like, it's not. It doesn't make you some anti-establishment truth teller to work for Rumble instead of Google. Like, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. And so to act like he's also not billionaire funded and also working for, a corner of the establishment is ridiculous. He is working for a corner of the establishment. He does Republican Party propaganda. And guess what? It doesn't make you some shocking revolutionary truth teller to be anti-vax. Guess what? Most run-of-the-mill dumb fuck Republicans are anti-vax. Go up to your average Republican nitwit on the street and they're probably anti-vax. Like, Russell Brand, again, is not Julian Assange because he questions Big Pharma. No, I'm sorry, but that's not how this fucking works. And like I said, working for billionaire Peter Thiel on Rumble does not make you better than anyone or more anti-establishment than anyone who works for any other billionaire-funded website or corporation.
And he hadn't yet to receive due process. And as I expected, he was demonetized by YouTube, which is really the ultimate form of cancellation in our culture, because YouTube, which is owned by Google, is essentially the inner vortex of our digital commons, which are privatized yet controlled from the outside by powerful interests, including the Department of Homeland Security, British intelligence, and so on. So this raises a larger issue. What terms did he violate? And YouTube says that he violated their rules for off-platform behavior, that you have to conduct yourself well off the platform. Well, if none of these allegations are confirmed and they haven't been seen through in a court of law, then who is Google and a bunch of anonymous corporate functionaries?
So here's the argument that Max is making, right? That business, basically that because he hasn't been convicted in a court of law that he cannot break YouTube terms of service, which is just not true. There have been countless people who have not been convicted in a court of law who have been banned from YouTube, right? And we could talk about how there's a lot of lack of transparency in how that's determined, right? And that there are a lot of powerful entities involved. But let me explain to Max something, because I guess he needs like a freshman economics course in capitalism. Okay, I get it. He's not very bright, so I'm going to explain to you guys and him really slowly. The way that YouTube and Google make money is advertisers. Okay, when you go on to YouTube, it is free. If they want to make money, they have to keep their advertisers happy. This is a universal truth. Okay, this is why Adpocalypse happened, right? Oh, Coca-Cola company or whoever the fuck company it was doesn't want to have their advertisements show up in front of a white supremacist account, which was what it was during Adpocalypse, right? They also do not want their fucking advertisements to show up in front of a video for a guy who has been credibly accused of sexual assault, who's now being criminally investigated by the London police, whose name is complete mud now, because we've seen an entire community of women come up and say, this is what happened to me. Here's all the evidence I have. Here's when I went to a fucking rape crisis center. Here's the text that he sent me to apologize for fucking raping me. Here's the cab driver that saw a 16-year-old picked up the 16-year-old from school and dropped her off at 31 Russell Brand's house. Pleads with her, says, I have a daughter. Please don't do this. I know what's going to happen to you in there. How fucking evil do you have to be to fucking defend this guy? Of course, advertisers and the fucking all the barbarisms of capitalism, yada, yada, yada. I understand. That's the fucking reality we live in. Okay? The reality we live in is that the advertisers control everything. So you can act like it's a fucking cabal of the powerful. You can act like whatever you want. It's the bottom line. Okay? It's about dollars and cents here on YouTube. And yeah, I think that, Gavin, you would agree with me that the chief reason that they're trying to get as far away from Russell Brand on YouTube is because the advertisers won't stand for it. And YouTube is constantly shit scared and panicked that the advertisers are going to pack up and leave. And does that lead to consequences for honest, truth-telling reporters? Of course it does. Of course it does. And we're here to speak out against that when it happens. But what's happening right now is this guy's been credibly accused of sexual assault by like half a dozen women, maybe more. And advertisers don't want to be fucking putting their shit up in front of his content.
Right.
So he gets demonetized from YouTube because they know he's a huge red flag right now.
Right. And of course, yeah. And it's so funny to see people, Republicans and right wingers, who under every other circumstance defend capitalism, all of a sudden now having an issue with this aspect of it. Right. Like these people will defend every aspect of capitalism until it results in a corporation making a profit-based decision that they don't like or that goes against their ideology or their favorite celebrity, commentator, etc. But yeah, this is, of course, just pure capitalism. From YouTube's perspective, Russell Brand, to be associated with them or to be associated with Russell Brand as a corporation is not a good look for them right now. He is currently going through this massive scandal. People are, realizing the extent of his criminal depravity, and that's why they're choosing to kind of disassociate from him as far as their relationship financially. Now, again, I have a problem with that, even though I think Russell Brand is guilty. I don't think that YouTube necessarily should just, be cutting off people's ability to make money on the platform if there's no actual conviction and stuff like that. But I understand why they're doing it from a capitalist perspective. And
you also don't need a conviction for your boss to fucking fire you for sexual assault.
That's absolutely true. That is 100% true. I mean, you don't need anything for your boss to fire you. I got fucking fired for posting a communist meme in the group chat at the pizza restaurant I worked at that said, rise up and organize, let's go on strike or something like that. I literally posted that shit in jest and I got fired. So yeah, of course they can do that. Right. And it's just crazy to hear people seemingly being intentionally dense about that when under any other circumstance they would understand. Like when the Papa John's pizza guy, remember that guy? He said the N-word on some call. Remember that? It was some investors call
Peggy
that leaked.
That really hard line about Papa.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And he it went viral that he said the N-word on some leaked call. So what did the corporation do? What did Papa John's do? They got him the fuck out of there. They were like, no, it doesn't matter that you or like the founder of this company or whatever. Like, obviously he still has stakes. I'm sure he makes money off of it, but they're like, no, you're not going to be
Papa John's pizza every day, and he knows it's changed.
Yeah, I've had one every I actually had Papa John's pizza last night. They have that good $7.99 deal for a one-topping pizza. Good shit.
Oh yeah, there's one right down the street from the bar that we walk to because I'm like, well, it's fucking $8 and
yeah, dude, it's hard to pass up. Anyway, the point is that like no one would say that. What was that guy's name? John Shatner or whatever the fuck. Like no one would say Papa John. No one would say he was. I mean, I'm sure some people would say, but no reasonable person would be like, they censored him. No,
cancel culture.
They don't want to be associated with some red-faced, belligerent racist who's casually dropping the N-word as a white dude. Like, no, that's why Papa John's got rid of him. In the same way, yeah, YouTube doesn't want to be associated with a known sex pest, a known sexual predator, and that's why they're disassociating with him. Now, again, as an anti-capitalist myself, I have some critiques of the way YouTube goes about enforcing its terms of service for sure. I do think it's fair to say that they're not like evenly or, like they're not evenly applying the terms of service. There's lots of people that are still monetized on YouTube that have done far worse or at least comparable crimes to what Russell Brand is accused of. So I definitely have issues with it. But
Max is going to get into it. The rape done by our president.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But the difference is that you don't see me constantly out here defending capitalism under every other circumstance. And now, to be fair to Max, I don't think he does that either. But there are a lot of Republicans and right wingers who love capitalism and love defending free markets. And you see this with Republicans all the time. You see this with Disney. All of a sudden, Ron DeSantis has a huge problem with capitalism when it comes to Disney, a corporation who's making decisions that they feel are in their best financial interests, aka pandering to progressives and pandering to various social justice movements, etc. As soon as they're pander to the wrong movement, it's an issue, even though that's pure capitalism. They're just trying to make money and exploit certain demographics that have progressive values, and they want them to be customers as well, etc., etc. Conservatives love capitalism and they love defending capitalism until a corporation makes a profit-based decision that goes against their political interests or that negatively affects one of their chosen celebrities or thought leaders. And it's just so fucking hypocritical, and I hate how it never gets called out.
Yeah, 100%. And also, it's funny. Somebody in our chat is like, Arab World, I don't think or Arab Pride, excuse me. I don't think you understand that Sidney Blumenthal is Max Blumenthal's dad. So when he brings up Libya and how Obama raped Libya and like he should be like fucking tried and all of that shit, he should also be calling for his old man's fucking arrest. Because let me just remind everybody this shit. Clinton Foundation paid Blumenthal $10K per month while he advised on Libya. Sidney Blumenthal, father of Max right here, who's all self-righteous as shit. And hey, you know what? You're not responsible for your father, but Max isn't above calling out people for their family connections. He famously tried to do so with Walker Bragman and ended really poorly for the guy. Sidney Blumenthal, longtime confidant of Bill and Hillary Clinton, earned about $10,000 a month as a full-time employee of the Clinton Foundation while he was providing unsolicited intelligence on Libya to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, according to multiple sources familiar with the arrangement. Blumenthal was added to the payroll of the Clinton Global Philanthropy in 2009, not long after advising Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. So let's see if he brings up his own old man when he's talking about Obama raping Libya later on. I just want everybody to keep that in their own back pocket. See if he has the courage to call out his daddy, who probably pays all his fucking credit card bills.
By the way, why do they always do this when someone is credibly accused of crimes? They start bringing up whatever, like war crimes that Bush and Obama did. Like they did this with Trump, when Trump's, with Trump's crimes that he's being indicted for. Now they're doing it with Russell Brand and his rape allegations. Like, it's just the most blatant and irrelevant whataboutism of all time. Like, yeah, I agree, bro. Most people agree. Bush, Obama, yes, they're war criminals, but you can't just bring up that fact every time one of your fucking buddies gets accused of something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
determine if someone is guilty of essentially felonies. They possibly committed defamation, and at the same time, they're hosting the...
They had not, in fact, committed defamation.
George W. Bush Library on their platform. They're hosting the Obama Foundation, which has 235,000 subscribers. Barack Obama and his administration raped Libya.
With your daddy, bro. With your daddy, your old man, your fucking dad, your father, the guy that's paying your fucking credit card bills, I guarantee you, okay? You know, the guy that fucking reloaded your bank account after you snorted it all away, God knows how many times through your early 20s. Yeah, that was the guy that did that. So you're welcome. You fucking grew up on blood money, and now you have the gall, the audacity to come out here and say this shit. And I say this as somebody, fuck Obama. I wouldn't have voted for the guy, but yeah, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, kid.
That is a confirmed fact. They destabilized the most prosperous nation in Africa and caused a jihadist onslaught that has swept across the Sahel. George W. Bush raped Iraq, leading to the death of 1 million people, the rise of ISIS, the destabilization of that region. But they are welcome on YouTube's platform according to its guidelines governing off-platform behavior. So where are the standards here and who's setting him? It's the same institutions that are destroying large parts of the world that are setting these standards, because the Obama Foundation, for example, is involved in determining what the disinformation and policy in terms of service are on platforms like YouTube.
So I take your point.
It is true though. He always looks fucking. I can't judge because sometimes I get called like people say I have a greasy face too.
It's not why, Gavin. There's a reason this guy looks like Slavoj Žižek. Okay.
Oh my god.
Max, but I was talking about this a little bit with a friend yesterday, and they pointed out that there is a distinction between being allowed on the app, which Russell Brand is still allowed on the app, and being able to monetize your work on the app, which could be potentially analogized to something like working for Uber or a company that you use their platform so that you can earn money and they provide you with income via the app. So is there a difference in your view between being actually deplatformed and not being allowed to do speech of any kind, even if the content, the substance of your speech doesn't violate the terms of an app, and whether or not a company like Google or Uber or some other kind of ride-share delivery service decides that as a matter of policy, it doesn't want someone who's been accused of rape or assault or some other crime operating their vehicles, let's say?
Well, YouTube wants to have it both ways. They want one of their most popular content creators to remain on the platform so he continues to draw an audience to its platform. They can't do to him what they did to Alex Jones, where he's completely removed.
Why can't they? They could do that to him. It's not that they can't do that. It's that they haven't chosen to do that. And it's also, he already has an exclusive contract with Rumble, which means that he only does re-uploads to YouTube. So I really don't think they're shaking in their shoes that Russell Brand is going to stop creating content for them, particularly because if you've ever dealt with YouTube, you would know that their policy is to never fucking try and satisfy any of their fucking YouTubers unless you're like goddamn Mr. Beast making them like $100 million a year. Like they do not give a fuck about you, even though, oh, he's got millions of subs. Dude, you not understand the unique traffic that goes to YouTube is global, and they don't give a fuck about Russell Brand not being on the platform. That's ridiculous.
And at the same time, they're demonetizing him, which means necessarily, and any content creator on YouTube knows this, that his videos will receive much less traffic. So this is still an act of cancellation, and it feeds, it flows.
She got him so bad he has nothing to say here. She's like, she just destroyed his entire argument. She was like, hey, let's take politics out of this and say, well, if I've been really credibly accused of sexual assault, places like Uber or Lyft might decide that I'm not actually deemed appropriate or the right candidate to perform this job, right? He basically has nothing for that. He's like, wait, well, they can do that. And that, like, I mean, hey, let me talk about something else now.
Right. It's the ultimate act of cancellation. Like, can't you just argue against the merits of whatever YouTube did without invoking stupid ass Republican talking points about cancellation? He's being canceled. Like, actually, he's just facing the consequences of the crimes he committed. It's not cancel culture.
Like your father never did. So yeah, shut the fuck up and put a sock in it.
Directly into the discussion I was having with Russell Brand about how dissenters and prominent anti-establishment voices are financially sanctioned inside the West for their political views, but they're never given due process. They're never given an explanation, and they are never given the right to explain where they're right and where they're wrong. Now, the one time that we had to deal with a threat of a strike from YouTube and had something deleted without explanation, of course, was when we did a live stream at the Grayzone about our report exposing a very famous British journalist named Paul Mason as a security state collaborator who was waging a campaign with security state intelligence operatives in the UK to attack what he called the Corbynite left, the left of Jeremy Corbyn, another target of British tabloid media.
No,
sorry,
YouTube
totally deleted us and threatened us. So we have to question whether the state here is actually involved in the demonetization of Russell Brand.
I think that's completely fair and that should be investigated, but I'm trying to drill down on a more generalizable point. I have objected to, for instance, the withholding of what feel more like utilities, banking services, your ability to get on YouTube, to use the apps, to collect money through PayPal based on your underlying beliefs as very much an authoritarian move that I'm deeply concerned about. But what I'm asking here is if there's a difference in your view, a substantive difference, even if you still think it's wrong, but a substantive difference between almost an employee-employee relationship, the way you get when you're using Uber as a driver or when you're monetizing your content on YouTube, and them saying, well, we're no longer going to allow you to make money on this app through us, versus access to a banking system or access to a speech platform or access to using the telephone line in your house or an internet service or something that feels more like a broadly available utility that shouldn't be stripped from you on the basis of whether or not some impartial public figure thinks that you're a good or a bad person. Isn't that a meaningful difference?
Well, we both oppose civil asset forfeiture, in which accused drug dealers have all of their assets seized by the federal government in a completely authoritarian fashion, often without due process. And sometimes they're guilty of dealing drugs, but I would argue.
I agree, but is that the right analogy though, Max? Like, let's just take
It's not the right. Well, here's the.
She's calling bullshit
point.
so politely.
That's something that happens in the public realm, and they supposedly get their day in court. But more and more people are forced to rely on an entirely privatized system, whether it's GoFundMe or YouTube, in order to earn a living because they are content creators. That's the way that people are going to deliver. Their audience wants to deliver them support. And if they are removed and demonetized from there, they're essentially financially sanctioned. I work with someone who's been removed, our managing editor at the Grayzone, Wyatt Reed, from PayPal and Venmo for no reason other than that he was reporting from the Russian separatist side of the Ukrainian conflict.
I'm sure that's why. I'm sure there's no more details as to why GoFundMe and PayPal cut off that guy.
You could argue the fucking merits of that, but I would bet the house that guy was taking money from fucking Russian. And it's like, should it be illegal to take money from like the fucking aggressor in an illegal war? I don't know, that you'd have to make it illegal to fucking take money from the United States government is what they would say. But they act like there's no more story there. It's like, oh, you mean when you were taking fucking money and an unregistered state propagandist, they banned you from PayPal and GoFundMe because of the fucking shady ass deposits you were getting in large sums from foreign bank accounts? Yeah. I mean, that's one way to put it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have several colleagues in the media who've been removed from PayPal, Venmo, they're getting kicked off TikTok. And slowly you can see as they get removed from these platforms, it's becoming harder and harder for them to earn a living. And that is precisely the point. And the state can't be held accountable the same way it can through civil asset forfeiture because it's doing it from behind the scenes. We don't know who made the decision to buy YouTube or who prompted YouTube to make that decision. All we know is that it's incredibly coordinated. And we also should consider the fact.
If you don't know who did it, how do you know it's coordinated? How do you have any evidence that it's coordinated other than that's what you've projected onto? If you don't have the people involved and you don't have any evidence, how can you argue effectively that it's coordinated? It's just a bunch of people who don't want to be associated with a known sex pest.
That the Times of London that led this story has targeted so many dissidents over the years, and that the Times of London is a favorite publication for the MI5, MI6 to plant material. So what I'm saying, Briahna, is that the state now has to convene.
Woody Allen's innocent because New York Times lied us into Iraq. Got it.
Yeah. Also, again, having like standard dumb fuck Republican opinions on the vaccine does not make you a dissident. I'm sorry, but like chill.
Oh yeah, the self congratulations. It rivals even the Vanguard.